What is up, my people? Welcome to the video today. Today we're going to talk about the decline and fall of U.S. boxing. Right here you have Apollo Creed, or action figure, I think, of Apollo Creed. R.I.P. by the way. I forgot his name. Withers? Carl Weathers. Yeah, Carl Weathers. Um, yeah, he's an iconic character for sure. But today, we're gonna talk about why U.S. boxing is not as good as it used to be. Why we're not as good as we used to be at boxing, um, and why I don't think it's gonna get any better unless, yeah, but it's not gonna get any better. I was gonna say unless the people change, but that's not gonna happen. We can move on to other sports. It's my opinion. Um, so the number one reason, guys. Well, before we get started with that, let me just debunk something that I heard online, that black fighters are the most hated fighters in boxing, or that it's harder for black fighters to make it in boxing because everyone's against them or whatever. And it's actually not the case, guys. Actually, if you look at media, they've been pushing black fighters to be the face of boxing around the world since the late 80s, all through the 90s, and parts of the 2000s. So, and that's not just in boxing. That's everywhere. In video games, in movies, everywhere. The face of boxing is African American. Okay, so for people to say something like that is totally disingenuous, and is actually the opposite of that. And actually, the reason we're suffering right now in American boxing is because of the fact that we build a lot of these manufactured champions since like I said, since the 90s, even some of the late 80s and early 2000s. Most of our champions have been manufactured. Now, when I say manufactured, does that mean that I think they're fake? No. Does that mean that I think they can't fight or they're fake champions? Of course not. All of these guys are talented. All of these guys were great fighters. But if you look at how they got their start, if you look at, um, you know, all of the close decisions that they got, you know, if you see, for example, let's look at the most recent one, which is Floyd Mayweather. Okay, and you could even do it to Devin Haney, but let's go to Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, he got a shot at the title very early on. Nobody knew who the kid was, but he got a shot with Gennaro Hernandez. Okay, which was, by the way, the guy was old. He was already on his way out. But they said, you know what, give this kid a chance so he could become champion. Boom, he got it. That means that there's someone behind you. There's something, you have a hand in already. You have a foot at the door. For some reason, somebody helped you out somewhere in the beginning of your career. All right, that's one example. Number two example, he won a bunch of close decisions. Okay, one of them, people talk about it all the time, was against Castillo. Sorry. All right, he won that close decision. They give him the nod. Then he won another one against Oscar De La Hoya. That one was a little bit more clear for Mayweather, in my opinion. But what I'm trying to say is, these fighters, if they win a lot of close decisions, you could tell that this guy is being helped or manufactured. Number two, the Las Vegas State Commission bended to his will. They did everything possible um, to help him win in Las Vegas. Okay. Everything from allowing the drugs that he wanted to use to be used, um, letting him use illegal IVs, and the list goes on. Um, so the other thing you could tell from Floyd Mayweather is he had his favorite referee. Okay, he was allowed to get his own little referee that was there with him all through his career. Um, so, and there's little things like this that you could tell that these boxers aren't necessarily, doing everything on their own. They have someone in the background helping them. You know, Mike Tyson. Okay, that's another example. Mike Tyson also had a very early um, chance to become champion. I think he's the youngest ever, right? Um, and I could look at Devin Haney. Okay, I don't even have to explain why Devin Haney um, is being helped along the way. Okay, I mean, there's so many examples. I don't even just go and do your research and I mean, look at what's happening right now. Okay, um, obviously he's manufactured, and probably more so than in the past. Because in the past, at least like Floyd Mayweather had talent. Floyd Mayweather had actual skill that you could grab from. But now, it how can I explain this? Now it's like these kids um, think that everybody has to do everything for them now because they've been babied to the point. Oh, well, you did it for Mayweather. Why don't you do it for me? And it's like it doesn't work that way. You have to have there has to be some kind of mud so that I can make clay. If there's no, I mean, there has to be some kind of clay so that I can make bricks. If there's no clay, there's no material, then you can't make bricks. Then you can't make a house. So, and that's what's going on now with the boxers that we have now is that they think that we have to do all of these things for them. They have to get paid a certain amount of money because they're so great and they're just like Mayweather, but they're really not. And that's really my number one point on why the U.S. Boxing is declining because they've been babied into this manufacturing media machine that's supposed to do everything for them, and that's not the way it works. It's not the way it ever worked. It was just that we just had more talented fighters back in the day. Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather, they had something to work with. When these fighters of today, they have very little to work with, and they expect the world. Um, so yeah, that's just 2 points. One of them is this guy's wrong, right? He's mistaken when he says that the black fighter is oppressed. It's actually the opposite. They're actually the ones that get the most play um, in boxing, especially if they're Olympians. Right after they win an Olympic gold medal or if they lose, that's the number one promotion they use for him to be great in boxing. And they use the formula that they used for Sugar Ray Leonard in order to make them win fights. And what that formula is just throw a flurry or throw jabs for 12 rounds or back in the day 15 rounds and raise your hands and the crowd's going to cheer and we're going to give you the round. And if you survive the fight, we'll give you the fight. Okay, so a counter to that style was Mexican style. Okay, and the Mexican style was the opposite of American style. So American style it's more of a defensive in nature, and the thing about defense is you have to be at home to do it. Meaning there has to be a little bit of home cooking to do it. Mexican style in its essence is more offensive, and because it's offensive, you have to be abroad to do it. So one of the things that most Mexican fighters are known for is going abroad and taking people's belts. It just happened recently, about a week ago. I forgot. I think it was in England. That there was just an upset where a Mexican fighter beat a champion over there. So it's still happening till today. And one of the best examples of this was Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't have a picture of him, but well, that's him right there. Um, by the way, guys, go watch this video. It's pretty cool. Julio Cesar Chavez, right? And he was the first guy who made a big name here in the U.S. Okay, and the style that he incorporated was knockout. That's basically what he was doing. Of course, there's a technical process that goes through it. A lot of people try to say that Mexican styles or Mexicans are brutes and they don't really have any technique, and all they do is get hit in the face. So that is something made up by the American media to attack, quote unquote, Mexican style. Um, and the truth is that there's fundamentals that you have to go through, or there's setups that you have to go through in order to fight like a Mexican fighter, in order to get the knockdown. The process is basically you go to the body for the first couple of rounds. You sneak in a couple of body shots every round, and then in the later rounds, when the guy starts slowing down, especially an Olympian, then you knock him down. And Julio Cesar Chavez made his living off of that here in the U.S. And since there was a large population of Mexicans here in the U.S., he became very popular here. Now, monetarily, to the U.S., that was good, but politically, it wasn't. And one of the main things they would do to Julio Cesar Chavez was pin him up against Olympians, and in their main goal is to see him lose to an Olympian. And you could go back and look at it. He fought a lot of Olympians, and he beat most of them, right? Except for I think Oscar De La Hoya, and then a controversial. Actually, he won a lot of controversial ones, but they were only controversial to Americans, and in Mexico they were not that controversial. And I could tell you their point of view over there. And of course, the American media machine is always going to push further than the Mexican media machine because it's just more powerful. But as I was saying, guys, but that's the difference between a manufactured and someone that goes and makes it a point for you to realize that there is no argument that they won the fight. So that is, one of the reasons. Okay, the media machine, the illusion of the American media machine is starting to dissipate. People are starting to see through that. The main reason is because a lot of these fighters, they don't want to fight abroad, because they don't have the style to fight abroad. They have a home style, and a home style is stick and move, and let the judges give you the fight. A offensive style is get him to the body, and then in the later round, just take him out. Knock him out, basically. Um, that's one of the main reasons. Americans need to change their style, and they need to think more globally. They need to think more of a go-getter mentality, and they just don't have that. It's not built in their style. Okay, most of the people that we think are great today, they don't have that mentality. Shakur Stevenson, he does not have that mentality. He's not going to go to Russia and fight a Russian. Look at him. Look at this kid. You think he's going to go to Russia and fight a Russian and knock him out? And if they steal the fight from him, what's he going to? He's going to cry. He said, "Oh my God, I lost my O." They give this importance to this O. Which is the other thing. That's my number 2 point. Why the U.S. is declining in boxing is that they give the importance to that O. They give it way too much importance, and they all want to be like Mayweather, especially this guy right here. And that is the number one thing. Look at how he Well, not the number one, but it's one of the reasons. Look at how he acted when he got his little O back. And a lot of people ask me, why do so many people hate Devin? At the beginning, I was one of the defenders of Devin. Right after this fight, I was still on his side. I thought that he had a chance to come back and do something. Just had to watch out for certain fighters. Um, but the way he acted, the way he reacted to this whole situation with Ryan Garcia, made me realize that he was just like the others. That he's obsessed with the O. He's obsessed with trying to be this Mayweather copy, and he doesn't understand that the whole thing, all of that stuff is manufactured. It was a business pitch to sell you something that was nothing really. It's just a zero. And these guys now think that it's the gospel. These guys now think that it's, the thing to strive for is to be undefeated. When that was never the case in boxing. It was never the case. Somehow Mayweather managed to take the knockdown, because every sport has their big move. Right? In basketball, it's dunking. In soccer, it's maybe a chilena or a header, maybe. Right? In golf, it's a hole in one or something like that. I don't know. But in boxing, it's a knockdown. Right? But somehow Floyd Mayweather managed to flip the script and say, no, guys, the knockdown is not what you want to look for. It's the zero. The zero is what's important. And you guys ate it up. But you don't realize that he was just trying to sell you his boring ass fights. Now, they weren't boring to me, but compared to a knockdown, I mean, let's be honest. And that's the main reason why I think Devin Haney is hated. It's also because instead of trying to fight Ryan again and get his back in blood, he's trying to go to court. And that, to most people, just seems like he's not really a fighter. He's just this guy who wants his old back. He wants this illusion of what a fighter is. And that's why I think they should both like try to do something else. This guy should be a lawyer, and Ryan Garcia should be an actor or something. But not a fighter. So what's my number 3 reason, guys? My number 3 reason is money, guys. Money, 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 money. Money makes the world go round. And in a hyper-capitalized society as we live in today here in the United States of America, the prices are going way up, and people are still just as poor as they was 7 years ago, if not even poorer. Wages are still the same, but we're still getting paid shit. And these boxers want us to pay top dollar for them to just be running around for 12 rounds, and they think that they're worth it. Okay? When they're not. Nobody wants to wait a year for Shakur Stevenson. Where is this guy? Where's Shakur Stevenson? I want to see his stupid face. Nobody wants to wait a year for Shakur Stevenson to fight. Well, not even a fight. You can't even call it a fight. Somebody told me, I think it was it Shakur Stevenson or another fighter? It's another fighter, I think, that he just moves around and he counts around. And they were like, what do you think about this guy? I think he's a British fighter. And I was like, I think they should make a different league for these guys. And they should put obstacles in the ring. They should put like a swing in the ring and like just different types of obstacles. And they should just play tag with boxing gloves. Because that's going to be better for them. That's going to be their environment. Because that's what they're doing. They're playing tag. So let's just do that for them, so they can have it's like special kids. Just give them like a little playground so they could play there. And that's the same thing I think about Shakur Stevenson. Really, let's make little obstacles for him so he could run around and play tag with his friends. um, but not boxing, guys. And you already heard him. He said, "Fuck the fans." That's the other thing. Um, all right, so money. Okay, that's money. Now let's talk about, last but not least, the idolization of these boxers, and not just these boxers, just anything that they think is making a lot of money, or um, is just popular, getting all the clout. That is also killing boxing. To where back in the day, used to be like, yeah, I like how he fights and I want to see him fight the big fights. But now it's like, no, don't touch my hero, don't touch my guy. I just want to see him win. But in that case, just go watch, I don't know, Batman on TV or something. I don't know. He's always gonna win for sure. But in boxing, you want to see the competition. You want to see the matchups. You want to see what happens. Um, so those are my reasons, guys, on why U.S. boxing is in a decline and world boxing is on the rise. Now, all of these things translate to the real world, guys. Meaning, in the real world today, in our society, there is idolization of humans that are richer than us. We idolize Elon Musk. We idolize Andrew Tate. We idolize Donald Trump. We idolize all of these big, rich moguls, or whatever you call them. We idolize them, and it's another example that in the U.S. capitalism is the number one religion, and in our gods are these guys. You know, when it goes to money, of course, you could see that in the real world, right? When it comes to the idolization of being perfect or attempting to be perfect, that's what the O represents. And guess what? The more you try, the more deep of a hole you will dig yourself. And that's what these people that idolize the O are doing. Or the O. And how can this translate? It's an illusion, guys. This could translate the same way as money. Money in itself is an illusion. They're giving you a believe in this paper, but people are starting to see through this. Okay, they're starting to see through it, and that's why a lot of countries are dropping the dollar for, digital currencies and deals between governments. Now, I don't know if that's going to work or not, who knows, but it does translate to the real world. But there it is, guys. Those are my reasons. And please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.